Hello, my name is Andreas Merz. I'm the Managing Director of ITCube Systems. Have you ever wondered why the integration of SAP systems into the central security monitoring is so limited? We were asked this question many times. SAP Business Solutions are the first choice for many organizations to run their most critical business processes. That's why CIOs rated SAP systems as those with the highest criticality for their core businesses. But how can SAP landscapes holistically be protected? What are the attack vectors? And which of the thousands of parameters and events in SAP need to be monitored to detect insider threat and fraudulent activities? How can SAP interfere with SIEM systems if there's no standardized interface? Or how can SAP risk information be interpreted by analysts in the Security Operating Center? Let's start with the risk. So let's raise the question, is it enough to consider segregation of duty controls? Auditors focus on the observance of the rights and role models. But is it really sufficient to control what's in the DSAG audit guidelines as a snapshot on randomly selected sample systems once a year? If SAP is mission critical, it is not enough to let internal or external audits figure out if static parameters correspond with security guidelines. What is missing here is, on one hand, the seamless full coverage of all major systems, and on the other hand, the continuity of a permanent monitoring. Both you can only achieve through automation. But there are other aspects too. A number of events in SAP which happen throughout the operations cycle are associated with serious risk. If happen, management should get informed promptly. So let me pick some risk use cases to give you a sense of the solution from a high-level perspective. If, for example, a developer turns on debugging on a production system, he can directly make changes in the code. Thus, he can also execute arbitrary commands. He's kind of root of the system. If this happens, you want to know. If the SAP web server performs services without authentication, then you should notice that. Or if the SAP gateway is configured poorly and grants unrestricted access to external programs on your system, then this is an easily penetrable vulnerability. If the SOAP services allows execution of arbitrary RFC function modules, of which there are more than 1,500, or if the transports occur at unusual times or are unauthorized, backdoors might be implemented into your SAP landscape, then you should expect an alert. If privileged accounts such as SAP Star or Firefighter are used, then you should have compensating controls. At least you should be able to track activity performed with these accounts. If privileged users access confidential datasets or change critical data, such as price lists, material lists, contract conditions, and so on, access and changes should be logged. Or if trust relationships between business-critical SAP systems and those who are less important and less well managed get exploited, you might want to know it. All of these examples apply only to what happens within the SAP application itself. What we need to do is a 360-degree look to detect risk. We need to take multiple dimensions into account. It is important to know how SAP interacts with the surrounding IT, the intrinsic trust relationships between the SAP application and the database or the underlying operation system, which both have exploitable vulnerabilities. As ArcSight Premium Partner, we know the requirements from our customers from over 20 SIEM implementation projects. SIEM solutions today have neither suitable connectors into SAP nor sophisticated content in the form of categorizations, rules, dashboards, reports, alerts, and so on to handle specific SAP information. The only capability of a few SIEM systems is to read the security audit log. The security audit log faces overloaded expectations. Its security context is limited to about 20% of what would be really important, and therefore it is not a sufficient basis for reliable information event correlation. ITCube has dealt extensively in the past 1.5 years with all these aspects. In fact, it was a challenging task, particularly because interdisciplinary knowledge of SAP experts and SIEM specialists is needed. In October 2011, we have released a solution to the market that allows a 360-degree security and risk monitoring. So what does it mean? In short, our solution has eliminated the blind spot in the SAP Security Monitoring. We named it Agile Security Intelligence, or agileSI. So what can you achieve with agileSI? All security critical events and parameters of all major SAP systems and the surrounding IT, fully automatic capture, process in a centralized SIEM, recognize and alert on rule violations, fraud and insider threat, feed risk information into a remediation cycle. The systematic approach of our solution looks like this. Secure code. First, it is important to get the whole chain right. Securing the applications means starting with your source code. With vulnerabilities built in, you will never get to a secure system. You can use Code Profiler or Fortify to scan code and fix it. Secure apps. Patches for operating system, database and SAP have to be applied. SAP supports customers with the RSec node tool that checks what security nodes are applied. Secure systems. Applications must be configured in a way that they work securely. Default settings are not always secure, so checking settings must be performed for profile parameters, SAP Gateway and many others. Transports can contain dangerous objects like new roles. Make sure you understand what is transported into production, by whom, why and when. A transport outside planned maintenance windows is an emergency or suspicious. Detect attacks. Even when the systems are configured carefully and patched in time, you want to detect violations and attacks. A SIEM does this for operating systems, but not for SAP. Therefore, you need to trace critical workflows and user activities within an SAP. Transaction monitoring. Monitoring of business transactions like travel expenses is by nature a more customer-specific area. One player in this field is oversight systems. We approach this field through partners, while we provide the technical infrastructure for partner solutions that meet the specific needs. Of course, there are many other tools available to monitor SAP, but Solution Manager, GRC, IDM, Security Weaver and others are kind of point solutions in terms of a holistic approach for SAP security and risk monitoring. Those tools help in implementing some security measures or monitoring a portion of parameters or events, but they do not cover the whole chain and they do not interwork. agileSI and ArcSight cover everything from checking patch status to transaction monitoring. agileSI is working as an ABAP application with a central component and one agent per SAP system. The agents are configured and controlled centrally and extract the information from the SAP systems. In the core, the data is getting processed and transferred into a standardized format to the SIEM system. Event categorization, correlation, evaluation of criticality, visualization, alerting and notification, and reporting occurs in the SIEM system. Currently, our solution supports ArcSight ESM. Besides the fact that ArcSight has been the market leader for more than 6 years in a row, it offers the industry's best technical basis for the processing of application-specific events. Our solution utilizes ArcSight ESM tools and enablers for detecting what you cannot measure that easy. I'm talking about pattern matching, statistic models and ratios, automated baselining, identity view, asset and actor models, domain field sets, and so on. Oxide ESM provides a global heat map of your SAP landscapes from a footprint point of view. You can drill down into situational awareness views and technical views on risk categories. I would like to sum up the benefits of agileSI. By automate and continuous monitoring of all critical security events and parameters, you can achieve full transparency. This transparency gives you the ability to identify and eliminate critical states and events. And in fact, this leads to a significant decrease of your security risk level. Passing compliance audits is no longer a Russian roulette. You can now demonstrate applied risk management to the auditors and provide them meaningful dashboards and reports. And this in turn not only reduces the effort for internal and external audits, but also reduces the number and severity of the findings. You also maximize your investments in Oxide. By utilizing agileSI, you gather significantly more and valuable information out of your SIEM solution. Rather than developing your own software, you make a wise decision when you opt for a commercial solution with maintenance, support, and a professional services team. A lot of risk use cases that also fit well for many of your scenarios will be shipped with agileSI's content foundation. Customization of this solution pack can easily be done by just configuration without any programming effort. If you want to take a deeper dive into the technical details of agileSI, how it closes the sub-SIEM gap, and how this solution is different from others, just tune in into our product videos or visit our website. Thank you for your interest. I'm looking forward to see you soon. See you at IT Cube.